So yesterday we were discussing about PUD, peptic ulcer disease. What can you tell me about peptic ulcer disease? What is peptic ulcer disease and uh, how is it caused and what are the types of peptic ulcer disease? Not yesterday, day before yesterday we were discussing about PUD. You can put it in the chat as well if you're not able to use your microphone. What is peptic ulcer disease? अच्छा ठीक है. What are the causes of peptic ulcer disease? We'll start with that. That's a simple production. Acid production increases. Okay, you're going on the correct lines. Acid production increases. That is one of the problems in PUD. We'll get into the specificity in which condition acid production increases and why it will be a problem. But essentially, if we talk about the causes of PUD, क्या क्या आते हैं etiological agents में? There are two main problems I told you, right? PUD में. There are other problems as well, but there are two main causes why the ulcer itself will occur. One problem is that the mucosal lining is becoming weak. The other problem is acid production increases excessively. Okay, depending on what type it is, you will have two different types of ulcers occurring. अगर mucosal line weak हुआ तो gastric ulcer होता. अगर acid production बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया तो you'll have duodenal ulcer. All right. Other etiological agents will include H. pylori. Other than that, there is improper mucus secretion itself. Mucus damage भी हो सकता है या mucus secretion बराबर भी नहीं हो सकता. It could be gastritis, it could be local irritants like alcohol, cigarette smoking and all, or maybe people are taking NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like aspirin. Aspirin or any NSAID for that matter will impair prostaglandin synthesis. Prostaglandins are very important for mucus production. अगर prostaglandins नहीं रहे तो mucus production नहीं होता. Ultimately decreasing the lining of the stomach and lining of your GIT. Okay. Aspirin will cause decrease in prostaglandin, which in turn will cause decrease in mucus being produced. It can be stress related as well, stress or anxiety or fatigue related as well. Okay. Sometimes it could be a hormonal problem where there is a tumor that is producing excessive amount of pepsin, ultimately causing PUD. Okay, these are some of the causes of PUD. All right, now coming to the types of PUD, what can you tell me about the types of PUD? There are two types of PUD, right? We have gastric type and there is duodenal type. What is gastric ulcer and how does gastric ulcer occur and how does duodenal ulcer occur? What is the difference between them?
Sir,
Mhm.
the gastric ulcers due to the more production of acid in the stomach. Sir. When it goes to the down, it's caused duodenal ulcer. Sir.
Mm, देखो gastric ulcer, you are telling that gastric ulcer is mainly occurring due to hyperacidity, or can it also occur when there is normal amount of acid? Gastric ulcer, can it occur only when there is hyperacidity, as in whenever the patient is producing excessive amount of acid, only then will they have gastric ulcer, or can it also be produced if they are having normal to low amount of gastric acid? Remember, one is a mucosal problem, the other is a acid problem. Which is which? It can be produced. Okay, so he's telling that it can also be produced at what do you call, when the acid level is normal. So gastric ulcers are mainly because of improper mucus lining. Okay, there is some problem in the production of mucus, or there is damage to the mucus lining, the normal mucus lining, because of which what happens is, even if the patient is producing normal amount of acid, because the mucus lining itself, the protective lining is not proper, it will start damaging the underlying tissue and the underlying cell, leading to ulcer. और it could be simple hyperacidity, इतना ज़्यादा increase हो जा रहा कि ultimately that mucus lining is simply not enough and it is causing ulceration, but that is rare. Gastric ulcers will mostly occur because of improper mucus lining. अगर hyperacidity भी हो रही, if the patient is suffering from hyperacidity, more often than not what will happen is that acid will pass down into the duodenum, leading to duodenal ulcers. So duodenal ulcer ka main problem is excessive acid production and rapid emptying. So in patients who have duodenal ulcers, it is common to see that their gastric emptying time is very high, or gastric emptying time is very low. Sorry, it will be very short. So they will empty their stomach very quickly. Their body empties their stomach very quickly. As a result, what happens is whatever acid is being produced, that is being thrown into the duodenum very quickly. Now, if there is food, the acid will be neutralized by the food. If food level is low, or if they have not eaten anything, that acid is invariably thrown into the duodenum, which will cause damage to the duodenum, leading to ulcer. Okay. Okay. Then, what are the zones of ulcer? Ulcer has 4 zones, right? What are the 4 zones of ulcer? If you look at ulcer like this, there is a topmost zone, then the second zone, third zone, and finally the fourth zone.
म्यूकस सब म्यूकस
Zones of the ulcer बोल रहा हूँ बेटा मैं, zone of the stomach नहीं. What are the zones of the ulcer? अच्छा, on top what do you see? यहाँ पर directly अगर acid से contact में आ रहा, this is directly coming in contact with the acid, whether it be improper mucus being produced, whether it is bacterial infection or whatever it is, the topmost layer is being subjected to the acid, which causes immediate damage here. So the first layer you will see necrosis. Okay, hence it is called the necrotic zone. Then directly underneath that will be the exudative zone, superficial exudative zone. You will see inflammatory exudate present here. ठीक है. Then under that healing is occurring. ठीक है. यहाँ पर there will be granulation tissue. ठीक है. Under that there will be zone of cicatrization. Zone of cicatrization भी बोलते हैं इसको, या fibrocollagenous zone भी बोलते हैं, because see healing is occurring from down to up. So the topmost layer is damaged, and as you keep going down it gets healed slowly as it gets more and more healed. Okay, that is why the lowermost area that you are seeing, it has a lot of scarring. Fibrocollagenic scars will be present, and you will see granulation tissue nests as well यहाँ पर. ठीक है, thick layer रहता है ये बहुत. Now coming to the next topic, we have typhoid. Okay. Typhoid is caused by Salmonella typhi, or it is also caused by Salmonella paratyphi. It's a gram-negative bacilli. Okay. Generally, what happens is typhoid bacilli is ingested. So fecal oral route से mostly contaminated food or contaminated water. People are drinking contaminated water. They are not, do not have access to clean water, or they're simply not filtering their water, or it could be contaminated food as well, which is causing the bacteria to enter into the human's body. Initially, what will happen is the patient will remain asymptomatic for a while, and the incubation period is about 2 weeks. So for almost 2 weeks, the patient will not show any significant symptoms. Maybe they'll have a slight fever, but essentially they will be asymptomatic. Eventually, what will happen is these bacilli, they will enter lymph follicles. There are special lymph follicles that are present in your intestines, in your large intestines. They are called Peyer's patches. Okay, these are special lymphoid tissue or special lymphoid uh, lymphoid follicles भी बोल सकते हैं लोगों को, that are present in your large intestine. All right, these Peyer's patches will be invaded by the typhoid bacteria. ठीक है, they're present in your small intestine as well as your large intestine, mostly small intestine में रहते हैं. And what will happen is they will start proliferating in that lymphoid follicles. Slowly what will happen is, once the number is increasing to a certain extent, they will start invading into blood. So the first thing that the bacteria does is it will enter into the human's body and it will start dividing, but it will not show any symptoms. Clinical symptoms will not be apparent. For almost 2 weeks, it will stay in incubation period. All right. After 2 weeks, you'll start seeing clinical symptoms, and this is especially when the bacilli are entering into blood. Once they enter blood, they can cause bacteremia. Okay, they will enter into blood in large quantities, and in severe cases you will also see septicemia, but it is not very common. Sometimes it can happen. Okay, there is a difference between bacteremia and septicemia. Bacteremia mein there are few bacteria present in your blood. In septicemia there are huge colonies of bacteria present in your blood which are showing clinical symptoms, and they are causing multi-organ problems. So typhoid bacteria will enter into your bloodstream, it will cause bacteremia, and there will be two very characteristic features of typhoid. One is increase in body temperature, and other is rose spots all over the body. Okay, rose spots look something like this. This is the rose. These are rose spots. Okay, rose spots are thought to be bacterial emboli. Okay, they are emboli which contain bacteria inside. Okay, they'll be present on the skin and they contain clumps of bacteria. At least that is what is thought. Rose spots are clumps of bacteria that are manifesting on the surface of the skin. Okay, eventually what will happen is these bacilli, the typhoidal bacilli, they will get localized in the intestinal lymphoid tissue. They will enter into mesenteric lymphoid tissues. From there they will start moving around. The main organs that they are affecting and causing problems will be liver. They will cause problems in the gallbladder and sometimes even in the spleen. So they start off in the intestine. Okay, intestine say, sometimes in some patients they will cause a lot of dysentery as well. ठीक है, diarrhea and dysentery. इसमें क्या होता, as the organism is proliferating in the human, it will start spreading out from lymph tissue, from lymph nodes. It will start moving into the liver. Eventually it will go to the gallbladder and into the spleen, and it will start wreaking havoc throughout the patient's body. Okay, pathologically if you see, you will start seeing lesions that are being that appear in the intestines. Okay, lesions appear all throughout the intestines, sometimes in other organs as well. So small damaged areas will be seen in their intestine and other organs. Specifically, terminal ileum is the most affected part. Okay, sometimes you will also see jejunum and colon being affected, but terminal ileum is the most affected part. In this scenario, what will happen is Peyer's patches, they will start showing ulcers. So Peyer's patch, जहाँ पर initially start हुआ था, the lymphoid follicle of your small intestine, यहाँ पर you will start seeing ulcers. The damage will increase to such an extent that you will start seeing oval shaped typhoidal ulcers present in Peyer's patches. Okay, and the base of the ulcer will become completely black. This is because of extensive damage to the mucosa. Mucosa will get completely sloughed, and ultimately what will happen is the base of that ulcer will become very black in color. Okay. The margins of that ulcer will also be slightly raised. You will see a lot of edema coming into the area. That is why those margins will be slightly more raised, and you will see a lot of cellular proliferation occurring in that area. If you look microscopically near that ulcerative area, you'll see that there are a lot of new blood vessels coming because there is extensive damage. See, continuously there is damage to your intestine. And what happens is, as your intestines are getting damaged, inflammation is taking place. Inflammation ka end product is healing. After inflammation there should be healing. So what will happen is new blood vessels will start being formed. In order to cope up with this damage, your body will start increasing the amount of blood supply there, and you'll start seeing more and more blood supply, more and more blood vessels, small capillaries appearing in that area. You will see cellular proliferation. You will also see edema in that area. Okay. Neutrophils are absent in that area though. One peculiar thing about typhoid is that in that inflammatory region, neutrophils are absent. So to put a brief recount of typhoid, bacteria which is causing typhoid is Salmonella typhi, enters into the body through contaminated food or water, and it will stay inside your body without showing any symptoms for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, it will enter the lymphoid follicles of your small intestine and it will start proliferating, eventually reaching your blood, and it might even reach other organs from there. And the main characteristic symptoms that it will show is fever and rose spots. Okay, temperature will increase quite a lot, and you will start seeing rose spots in the patient's on the patient's body. Some other organs will also start getting affected. You'll see mesenteric lymph nodes, liver, gallbladder, and spleen being affected as well, and their normal function gets affected because of this. Okay. You will generally see ulcers being presented in the Peyer's patches, and these ulcers are very black because of extensive damage. Okay. So that is about typhoid. If you have doubts or if you want me to repeat anything, please feel free to ask. Okay. Now coming to GIT carcinoma. So we'll only do buccal carcinoma today. We'll look at esophageal carcinoma tomorrow. ठीक है. We'll see अगर time बचा तो वो भी कर लेंगे. Carcinoma of GIT. Now GIT carcinoma में आपको buccal carcinoma है. You have esophageal carcinoma, gastric carcinoma, intestinal carcinoma, large intestinal carcinoma, small intestinal and large intestinal carcinoma. All of these will be included in the cancer of GIT, but you don't have all types of cancer in them. The main types of cancer. For example, in buccal carcinoma, the most common one is squamous cell carcinoma. So that is the only one that you have. So first of all, coming to buccal carcinoma. Okay, this is a squamous cell type of carcinoma. Now, as such, buccal carcinoma or specifically squamous cell carcinoma of your mouth, of anyone's mouth, oral cancer that is, has very, very poor prognosis. Okay, this is a very important point with respect to buccal carcinoma. It has very poor prognosis. Meaning by the time you detect the disease or by the time you detect the cancer, it is almost always too late to save the patient completely. Okay, because it is not recognizable very easily, and if it is not being recognized, it is very hard to treat it. When it is small and early, most of the times what happens is it will appear as a small ulcer or some damage that people generally neglect. Eventually what will happen is as it gets more and more severe, that is when they go out to a doctor and get it checked. But by that time the prognosis has become very poor, and it will be very hard to treat the patient after that, let alone save the patient. Okay. Squamous cell carcinoma comprise of almost 90% of all buccal carcinoma. Okay, these will comprise of 90% of all oral malignant tumors that are occurring in the mouth. Almost 90% of them will be squamous cell carcinoma. Okay, and it can occur in anywhere in the mouth. There are certain regions that are more susceptible than others, but it can occur anywhere in the mouth. Commonly though, it will occur on lips, it can occur on tongue, it can occur on anterior floor of the mouth, it can occur on buccal mucosa, समटाइम्स alveolar lingual sulcus उस पे भी होता या फिर palate पे होता. ठीक है, these are the common areas. So commonly this carcinoma can occur on lips, can occur on the tongue, it can occur on anterior floor of mouth, it can occur on buccal mucosa, it can occur in alveolar lingual sulcus, lingual sulcus, and sometimes it can also occur on the palate. Okay. Essentially anywhere in your mouth. Now, if we talk about the causes of squamous cell carcinoma, there are a few causes that have a very strong association ठीक है, meaning if these causes are present, there is a good association between that cause and cancer occurring. So for example, if someone has a habit of tobacco smoking, tobacco chewing or tobacco smoking, both, ठीक है, or if they have chronic alcohol consumption, so they've been drinking alcohol for a long period of time and they are drinking copious amounts of alcohol, that is a strong association. And if the person has HPV, human papilloma virus, ठीक है, especially certain strains of that virus, HPV 16, HPV 18 and HPV 33, so there are different strains in the virus itself. These three causes are strongly associated with buccal carcinoma. If a person has a habit of tobacco smoking or tobacco chewing for a long period of time, or if they have a problem of chronic alcohol consumption, or if they have HPV, there is a good chance the person will have, will develop squamous cell carcinoma at one point. There are some other causes which have weak association as well. For example, nutritional deficiencies, or if they have ill-fitting dentures, so braces and all that people get, if they are not fit properly, or if there are jagged teeth which are causing damage, yeah, if they are consuming excessive amount of chilies, okay, or if they have very poor orodental hygiene, if they're not brushing their teeth twice, or they simply have poor orodental hygiene, they're not taking care of their teeth and their dental hygiene as such, exposure to sunlight or exposure to any form of radiation for that matter, all of those have weak association with this type of carcinoma. Okay. Now the main pathological changes that you see in the oral cavity are of four types. Like you will see four different types of tumors appearing in the patient's mouth. So I'll show you the images once again. So first is, see, this ulcerative type of this thing. ठीक है, अल्सर जैसा ट्यूमर आता, it will appear as an ulcer but it is actually a tumor. This is the most frequent type. ठीक है, you will see a indurated ulcer and you will see rolled edges around it. ठीक है, then you will have a papillary type of one second, papillary कैसा दिखता, yeah, this is a papillary type of tumor. It is also called a verrucous tumor. If you can see this part, that is the tumor itself. Okay, it is called papillary or verrucous. VERRUCOUS. Okay, COUS. Now, this appears as a soft wart. Okay, people might not even notice it properly. Sometimes it is very small, sometimes it can be larger. This is a average size one, but sometimes it can go quite big. Okay, it look like a wart. Then we have, see, this is the nodular type. एक nodule के वैसा रहता. Now sometimes it can occur as a single nodule, or sometimes it can appear as several nodules in the mouth. Okay, it will be like a small pimple. So it will be much more firmer than a pimple though. It will be firm, slow growing submucosal nodule. It will occur under the mucosa and will start growing there. Then there is a fourth type of tumor that can occur in the buccal cavity. That is called a Schirr's type of tumor. Schirr's type of tumors are tumors that will infiltrate deep. Okay, they will go very deep into the buccal cavity and they will start, ulcer जैसा deep जाता वैसा ये tumor भी deep जाता. Okay, they can go deep and they can start affecting other organs as well. It is easier for Schirr's type to metastasize as well. So those are the four main types of ulcers, buccal ulcers that will occur. One is ulcer type, ulcerative type. Then we have papillary type. उसको papillary भी बोलते हैं, verrucous भी बोलते हैं. Then there is nodular type. Finally, we have Schirr's type. Okay, four different types of tumors that are occurring. Now, squamous cell carcinoma generally will be well differentiated. Okay, you will see the good differentiation in the cell. You will also see keratinizing carcinoma of squamous cell. In the cells, in the differentiating tumor का मतलब ये रहता, it will form different types of cells and that cell will be well developed. So, for example, if it is metastatic, let's suppose there is metastatic alveolar cancer or metastatic lung cancer in the mouth, for example, ठीक है, या कहीं भी है, it means that if it is well differentiated, you will see a lot of lung tissue, you will see a lot of alveolar tissue developing in the area which it has metastasized to. Okay. So in buccal carcinoma, that squamous cell carcinoma itself, sometimes it can be well differentiated wherein it is a keratinizing type of carcinoma, or sometimes it can remain undifferentiated as well. It will only be a lump of cells. It will not differentiate very well. ठीक है, अलग अलग cells separate नहीं होते and you will not see clear separation, you will not see clear distinction between cells, right? So those are the types of squamous cell carcinoma. Tomorrow we'll discuss carcinoma of the esophagus and the other type, day after tomorrow.